You probably didn't expect to be hearing from an English professor, but I'm an English professor for whom language study is very important. It's long been very important. To study Shakespeare, I wanted to read what he read and the way he read it. And for that I needed French. I also needed Latin, which is what he and every other serious writer in Europe read to stay involved with international intellectual life in science, in medicine, poetry, law, and history. But the main reason for a reader of English literature, or for a creative writer to study a foreign language, is to get perspective on English, to strengthen his or her sense of how what we can say is squeezed and enhanced by the available vocabulary and sentence structure of English. And you simply can't know your own language until you've gotten solidly and sturdily outside it. I direct the IPH, the Interdisciplinary Project in the Humanities. It's a small, research-intensive program for ambitious students of the humanities. We require all our majors to read across subjects, and they read across many centuries as well. The students all write senior theses and on a range of subjects. We've had them on film, on landscape architecture. This year someone wrote a thesis on space law. All of our students have to achieve advanced fluency in a foreign language. Although we're confident that this requirement makes our students better writers of English, that's not why we established this requirement. We require foreign language study because we're training our students to be scholarly leaders. And it's simply a matter of fact that a great deal of very important scholarly work hasn't been translated, isn't available in English. I've been setting aside some other important considerations. Language choice for activists. If you want to fight the spread of AIDS in Africa, you'd better start working on your French. Someone who wants to make a big difference in the fight against global warming should start Portuguese immediately. My colleagues in anthropology will tell you that someone who wants to be involved in the most decisive developments in the international women's movement needs to begin the slow work of mastering Arabic as soon as possible. What works or doesn't work in microfinance? You need Hindi. You didn't have Portuguese at your high school. Most of you went to schools that didn't teach Arabic or Korean or Hindi, and so let's face it, they'd only have been creating a problem for themselves if they encouraged you to think about options for language study. So they didn't ask you to think about language education as a crucial life choice. But that's what I'm telling you, it is. Now it's time to realize not only that people with scholarly or political ambitions should study a foreign language, but that particular ambitions can best be realized by the choice of particular foreign languages. This is the point at which I catch flack from my colleagues. Depending on your interests, there are good choices and bad ones. Of course, there are great modern novels written in almost every language on earth. But if you're especially interested in the modern philosophical novel, it makes more sense to study Russian than Danish. If you're interested in radical political thought in the age of liberal revolutions, it makes more sense to study French or German than Hebrew. History of physics? Latin. History of technology? French. Sociologists of China need Chinese. Historians of China do too, but to go far, they're also going to need Japanese, so it's important to plan ahead. My point here is that it's time to think hard about what language study can make possible, and what the choice of a particular language makes likely. Now, you may not have quite enough information to make this choice advisedly, so you have to be bold. You have to approach your professors. You can come to me. I'm happy to help out insofar as I can, but the professors in the courses that matter to you are the ones that you want to talk to. If you want to study P&P, go ask the major advisor of that program in philosophy, neuroscience, and psychology. Ask them what language you should study. If you fall in love with the subject of your freshman seminar in environmental ethics, ask the instructor, it's Professor Evans, Ask him what language an environmental ethicist needs above all. If you have particular interests, make those approaches now. If you're not sure about how you want to specialize, then I suggest that you might want to delay beginning language study by a semester while you do that little bit of asking around. But don't wait too long, because you're going to need to start early enough to achieve appropriate proficiency for study abroad or for beginning your research for a senior thesis. Language study can open a lot of doors, but it's worth figuring out just which doors each language can open, just which door is the one you're most likely to want to walk through. I hope that helps.